Just got a little dark in here. That's kind of weird. Let me check some. Hold on. All right. Everybody should be able to hear me. Okay. So we're going to start laying down. You're going to want your strap nearby. We're going to be working toward reverse triangle pose, which can be really interesting and tricky. And even though you've got both legs on the ground, it can be really challenging for balance. We're going to see what we can do to activate the hamstrings to help with that pose. But first, we'll get some stretching in. So come on down to your backs. And like I said, just have your strap where you can find it and lay down on your back. Leave your legs bent, your knees bent, and your feet on the floor. And come into your breath, come into your body. And breathe. Taking a nice deep breath in. And exhaling it out. Good, few more right here. Breathe. And let it go. Taking it in. Exhaling out. Good, one more deep, deep breath in. Exhale it all the way out, all the way. And then with both hands on the low belly, you should feel your front hip bones. They're called the ASIS, ASIS bones, anterior superior iliac spines. Feel those. It's basically what we think of when we feel those front hip bones. Let the palms kind of rest on that and the fingers come toward the center, and do a few pelvic tilts and tucks right here. Exhaling as you tuck in, and inhaling as you arch a little bit and tilt the pelvis. This is going to come into play later. So tilting and tucking, and feel with your hands how the pelvis is moving. Good, couple more. This should feel good, especially if your low back is a little chatty. And then the next time you're in a tilt, don't overdo it, right? But bring the pelvis into a tilt. So your lower back should be arched off the floor somewhat, not overly. And then feel the crease where your legs and the hips meet, right? So it's right at the base or right at the very top of the legs. And just get a sense of that crease in the hips. From here, I want you to isometrically drag the heels back. So I'm trying to pull my heels back while I'm in a little bit of an arch. The chest is lifted. I want you to think about this when we're standing, that the chest stays high, the pelvis tilts, and the hamstrings activate. And then just let it all go. Come into a tuck. And one more time, tilt the pelvis, feel the crease. When you crease, you should feel like a little muscle kind of pop up right at that crease. That is probably your quadricep muscle. In fact, I'm sure it's the quad muscle. And then pull the hamstrings. So pull the heels back to tighten the hamstrings, right? And you'll feel the back of those thighs engage. Feel all that happening. There should be no pain. And then release it all. Good. Grab your strap. Take the strap around your right foot. Leave your left foot on the floor for now. And stretch through your right back of your leg. Flex the foot really strongly. Draw the toes toward the knee or toward your chest. Press the heel up toward the ceiling. And just feel that and feel what's going on. And maybe point and flex the foot a couple times, all the while breathing, right? All the while relaxing the jaw, flex and point, and then flex again. But I want you to bend the knee a little bit and feel the change in the stretch of the back of the right leg. So for some, it's going to be subtle. For some, it's going to be a lot. The hamstring is engaging, right? And at the same time, we've got that foot flex, the front of the shins working. Breathe and then straighten the leg up again. Good. Just one more here. Bend the knee a little bit and then press. It's almost like I'm pressing the leg down into the floor. I'm trying to engage that hamstring at the same time and straighten it up. Good. And then relax the left leg. That's optional. Take the left leg straight. So a little bit deeper stretch here just for the hammies, just for those hamstrings. Good. Bend that knee. Switch sides, grab a hold of that strap with your left foot, put the right foot on the floor. Start with the left leg straight up toward the ceiling, flexing the foot, starting to stretch out through the Achilles, the calf muscles, maybe into the hamstrings here. Once again, kind of feeling that deep hip crease. And then point flex a few times, just stretch out the ankle. Good, one more point and then flex and hold the flex. Bend the knee a little bit and feel the change in the activation of the hamstring. If you don't feel it, don't worry, be happy. Don't worry about it, right? Just kind of play with this a little bit and then straighten the left leg. Good, one more, bend the knee a little bit, kind of press down into that hip, see if you can activate the leg and stretch it straight. Optionally straighten the right leg, a little bit more hamstring stretch here. Always in the morning, if you haven't already been active, if you got up and you sat down to do some work or read the paper or whatever, check your emails, the hamstrings don't have a chance to stretch, right? It's we got to get moving in order for those babies to open up a little bit. Good, release that, release your strap. Set the strap aside, bend both knees to chest. Good, hands behind the head. We did this on Sunday. I want you to keep the head down for now and just move the legs so as if you were kicking out through some mud. So you're just straightening the legs straight out from the hips and starting to find a little bit of core work here. So one, you're here. This is where you're gonna stay. Two, you're gonna lift the head, supported, not pulling on the head. You're gonna stay here. Or three, if it's okay for your head, neck, you're gonna start to bring elbow to opposite knee. Don't forget to breathe. Think about trying to lift the upper body off the floor, not pulling on the head in any way. All right, so we've been doing these pretty quickly, so let's slow it down a little bit. Hold one side and hold the other. And switch. And switch. Hang in, we're almost done. Good, switch. And switch. Last two, switch and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let go. Knees to chest. And breathe. Good. The hands come down to your sides. Your legs go to 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So from that crease in the hip, which you're going to hear me say over and over today, straight up to the knees. From here, the feet go straight out. I want you to put both hands on top of both knees. So they're really on the thighs, right? Not up here, but pressing into the knees, press the knees back into the hands and hold. You want to talk about some core engagement? Holy moly, just from this. Breathe and then just release. When you release, you might even notice that your pelvis goes into a little bit of a tilt. All right, 2 more here. Press the knees into the hands. Press the hands back into the knees. Make them work against each other. Breathe, low belly work here. And release. Woo, good. We have 1 more. Push knees into hands, hands into knees. Hang in there. We got this, everyone. Core work, super important for everything we do during our day. And release, bring your knees to chest. Good, last one here, the hands go down at your sides, or if you've got some low back stuff, the thumbs can go underneath your sacrum. Knees go back to 90 degrees, the belly engages very strongly, and you're gonna tap your heels down on the floor a little bit away from you. So don't tap them right behind your glutes. Try to press the feet out just a little. Keep the belly strong, keep the back heading toward the floor. So it doesn't have to be flat on the floor. And you're just going back and forth like you're walking in space. Try not to let the knees come too close up. Try to keep them away from you. Good, breathe. Here we go. Let's go toes instead of heels. Maybe we pick the pace up just a little bit. Don't forget to breathe. If you're not feeling your belly right now, I want to talk to you because I'm feeling it. Good. Go back to heels. Come on. We got this. Let's do 20 more. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Go to your toes. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees to chest. Keep your right knee in. Stretch the left leg long. And just smooth that out a little bit. A lot of psoas active in those. And switch sides. Nice stretch here. Both knees to chest, roll to one side, and come on up to a seat. There we go. Good. Sit in the way that makes the most sense for you. If you can, go ahead and cross the legs. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, one hand down, the other one stretches. And just hold for a moment here. I want you to feel this kind of opening of the chest. So whichever arm is high, see if you can rotate the chest to the side a little bit more. So it opens, right? You're moving it back instead of closes. And then reach over the knee. We've done this many times. Grab the imaginary rope and pull it back and twist. Good. And then reach forward. Exhale, pull it back. Reach it forward. And pull back, hold here, switch those hands or take the opposite hand to knee. Let the back hand come down and come into a seated twist. Nice deep breath, everybody. Check what's going on with the head, the neck, right? How'd you sleep last night? All those things. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale down. If you're sitting cross-legged, try switching legs. This never feels quite right to me, which means I really should do it more often. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, other hand down. Excuse me. Open up that side chest, right? It's almost like somebody has their hand at the front of that chest and then just bringing it back a little bit. Should be nice and easy here. Good. Stretch through that side. Soften the other shoulder. And then reach over the knee and pull it back. When you pull back, look back, reach, and pull back. One more. Reach and pull back. Hold here, and then come into a seated twist. Big deep breath here. Make sure the torso is nice and long. Find your breath. Good. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale right to your sweet little heart. Roll the shoulders back and shake it out. Release the legs. Take the feet a little bit wider than usual and just a little windshield wiper. Just a little bit, just stretching out through those hips, those glutes. And then come back to center. The feet are a little closer together. They can be hips width apart. You can use the hands behind you if you want. All I want you to do is pull those hamstrings back or pull the heels back to engage the hamstrings. Try to spread your toes out a little bit, get some air between them. Breathe, sit up nice and tall. Really dig, everybody. Really dig the heels. Like try to pull them back. Whew, and then press the toes down. Good. One more flex, pull back. Like just see how much tension you can create. If I were to turn sideways, like pull them back and you'll feel the back of the legs engage. From here, take the hands out. Variation here of boat pose. Lift your chest. So the idea here is this is a deep crease of the hips and the chest is lifted, okay? One, you're here. Two, one foot comes off. Dig the other heel back. If you cramp, hamstrings can cramp up pretty easily, then straighten the leg and let that go. Excuse me. Set that heel down, lift the other. Don't forget about the one that's really doing the work is this one on the floor. Woo, breathe and down. Point your toes down to the floor. Stretch the fronts of your feet. Take a deep breath. Good. And release that. Come on to table pose. Have your blocks near you so you can grab them when you need them. We're in table pose here. And just start a few cats and cows, again, tilting and tucking. So in cat pose, your back is up toward the ceiling. You are tucking your pelvis. And when you move into cow pose, the pelvis is tilting forward as you lift the head and the tailbone toward the floor. Good, a couple more. Just stretch both ways. And releasing it. Come to neutral spine, flip your toes under, find downward facing dog right away. Check your dog, right? Check your fingers, your hands, the back body working to support your pose. Stretch out those legs. Inhale, tippy toes. Exhale down to your knees and just pause for a second here while I cough. Okay, so we're going to do something that may or may not be appropriate for you. Just kind of be mindful. It's a little baby flow that's going to get our hearts going pretty quickly and work our bodies fairly fast. So you're in table pose, and here's what we're going to do. So we're going to start in table pose, flip the toes under, come to down dog, and then tippy toes right back to the knees. So that's your first choice, right? We're here, press out of the hands, go to down dog, back down to your knees. Choice number one. Choice number two is we're going to lift one leg when we start to lift. So what that looks like is from table pose, we lift, take the left leg up, we bend both knees to the floor. Same thing other side, lift the right leg and lower down. You can go slower. Lift left leg and lower. Lift right leg and lower. That's round two. So you can stay with it much lower. You can go to one leg lift slowly. The third choice here is going to be, you're going to kind of tap the knees, but you're not going to rest, we're going to stay on the same leg, okay, for 5 on each side. So you're here. Flip your toes under. Let's go right leg first. So right leg lifts. Tap both knees and lift again, or one knee, whatever taps. And bend and straighten. Yep, a whole bunch of leg work here. And 4. And 5. Lower both knees, pause. Maybe undo the feet and tap the fronts of the feet. That can be a big old stretch on the toes. And let's do the other side. Here we go. Tone in through the belly. We lift left leg. Bend the knees, tap, and lift. 2, 3, 4. I know. Woo! And 5. And lower everything down and find child's pose or hero pose. Shake out those wrists, everybody. I did tell you that we were going to warm up quickly, right? I have a lot on my yoga plate today. I like a lot of things I want to do to get where I want to go. All right. So from table pose, come on up to a lunge, right foot forward. Grab a hold of your blocks. Find that nice, sweet, and controlled lunge. Controlled meaning the back glute is active. You're not just dropping down to the floor like a piece of spaghetti, right? You're stretching it out. Find your breath. Your blocks can be medium, they can be high. All right, from here, flip your back toes under, come to a lunge, high lunge. From high lunge, straighten the front leg, straighten is relative, and stretch the back of the right leg's hamstring. As you do so, I want you to think about the crease of your hip. In fact, if you're able, take your right thumb to your right hip crease and draw the hip crease deep, like you're going to try to press it back more. And at the same time, lengthen the torso out from it. Yeah, it's big time, I know. Lenny, you might want to take your blocks up higher just so you have a little bit more room to play. Breathe. And then bend your front knee. You can leave your left knee up or take it down, hands to knee. Reach the arms up, just a regular old lunge. That's it. Find your breath. Both hands down. We got one more thing here. I know it's a lot for this leg. Left hand stays where it is. The right hand acts like it's pulling a rope up. It's going to open up that side of the body, the elbow pointing up to the ceiling, and then straighten the arm. That's it. Release. Lower your left knee. Slide your right leg back and come on back, either child's pose or hero pose. Find your breath. Deep breath in, deep breath out. When we take those deep breaths, we feed those muscles that we're working. We get more oxygen to them. They're going to work better, better. All right, let's do the other side. So come on up. This time your left foot is forward. You're activating the back glute. You're finding that nice long lunge, right? Nice long lunge, just stretching it out. And then flip your toes under and lift the knee off the floor. Hold here, right? Big old pose. Feel your breath. Take your hands to your knee. Lift your chest. Take the arms up. Find that high lunge. You know that the right knee can always be on the floor. There are so many variations we can do of any pose, so we go where we need to go for this day. Good, exhale it down. Whew. hands on block, straight in the front leg. Play here a little bit. See if you can find the line, right? The deep hip crease. Maybe your left thumb comes to that left hip and just presses it back a little, presses into that crease. The torso gets longer. Find our breath. Hand comes back down. Bend your front knee. Get ready for your twist, right? So what do we got to do? We got to level out the hips. We pull that rope up. And then we reach up, stretching through our chest. Nice job, everyone. Press out of the block, that hand that's down, reach up as if someone were trying to lift you up. Exhale that hand down, move the blocks out of the way. Step back to downward facing dog, which should feel really good after all that. Find your breath. Take your feet wide on your mat. Walk the hands all the way back. And before you come up, now hands can be on shins here. I want you to look at the feet and just parallel them to the sides of your mat. So they're basically facing straight forward. And then bend the knees as if you were going to sit back in a chair and feel the torso really long. For me, I have my fingertips on the floor. I'm dragging my fingertips back a little bit to create some upper body work. I'm pressing the hips back. So this is a whole bunch of work for the legs. I'm trying to pull the heels back to keep the hamstrings working. Good, nice job, everybody. And then just float your hands to your knees. Lift up from your chest, don't round, and come up to standing. Ooh, feel, right? So here and here. All right, just a little bit more work on the legs, and then we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to the purpose of all this. Okay, so take the feet a little bit wider, toes are pointing forward. Here's the hinge of the hips. I want you to not think about squatting. The chest doesn't drop. I want you to take both hands any way that feels fine, right? You can take the pinky edges of those hands to the hip crease and imagine pulling them back. Or you can take the thumbs and pull them back as if there was a chair right behind you and you're trying to get the deepest part of that crease. Hands come to your thighs, the chest opens up. Try not to let the knees roll in, right? Try to keep them parallel. And then one hand to your chest, one hand to your tailbone, and just pull the hands in opposite directions to stand up. And then keep the hands there. Keep the pull. So chest hand is pulling up, tailbone hand is pulling down, and then bend again. Try to keep the chest tall. And then press up again. Good, just one more. Press down. Press up. Ooh, yeah, good. Shake that out. Come on back to the front of your mat. Again, have your blocks near you. You can take them up on higher level at the front of your mat. Hands to hips, just simply step back right leg, not too big. Pyramid pose. Because pyramid pose looks a lot like reverse triangle. There's just a little bit of it missing. So pyramid pose, the back toes pointing mostly forward. Yep, so yep, go bring your toes forward. There you go, sis, more. The front hip, this left leg hip, we're gonna gotta draw that back a little bit so that both hip points are pointing forward. And then here's the hinge of the hips. Keep the chest high. In fact, maybe you look at something kind of in front of you to keep the head up for now. Start to tilt forward and then let the hands come to your blocks and your head, your eyes are now looking down toward the mat. And breathe. Now imagine pulling your front heel back. Try to pull it back. Ooh. Do you feel that? I know. Breathe. Release the pull. Bend the front knee a little bit. Pull back again. Find your breath and release. Now, if you want to come lower in pyramid, the chest does not sag. The chest stays lengthened even as the torso comes lower. This is all hamstring for me. Notice where it is for you. Don't overdo it. Bend your front knee. Step forward with your other foot and come on up to standing. And feel that, right? You can, because the hamstrings, 3 of them, all attach at your sit bone, right? So we talk about sit bone all the time. The sit bone is that bottom little rounded curve at the very bottom of your pelvis. And the hamstrings go, whoop, right? They suck right onto that sit bone. So that's what we're stretching. We're stretching this top attachment of the hamstrings by tilting the pelvis, by lengthening, and not just curling down into the chest. All right, opposite side. Right foot forward, left foot back. Toes pointing more forward than sideways. Make sure your pose is wide enough so that you don't, and yep, I would go a little wider, sis. See, my sissy's right in front of me. So I'm like, do this. Okay, so this time the right hip has to draw back a little bit. And then you feel your whole torso kind of front and center. Start to hinge from the hip, feeling in particular the right hip start to draw down. Keep the chest lifted until you draw your hands down to the block. And breathe. And notice. And then try to drag the front foot back. Breathe. Don't overdo it. The pelvis tilting is going to increase the stretch. If you were rounded, if you can even play here, like tuck the pelvis a little bit and you lose the stretch of the hamstring. Tilt the pelvis and you deepen the stretch of the hamstring. Big deep breath, keep pulling back. Release the pull, bend the knee a little bit and try to pull that hamstring back again. Ooh, yeah. Breathe. This one is much more intense for me. And release it. And then if you want to come down a little bit lower and chill out a little bit in your pyramid pose, go ahead. Find your breath though. Bend the front knee. Step forward. As you come to standing, grab one block and take it with you. Woo, good. Open up. Take the block behind you. Your palm on either side of it, nice and long, and just press back. And feel the front of the chest open up. It's like, oh, right? It's like draw it up and down and just reach. Release that. Take the block in one hand, take it out to the side, take your other hand to that same side chest, pull it back and stretch the arm back. Watch for any extra tension here. You can always lower the arm. Good, bring it forward. Resist with the hand on the chest and stretch the arm back. Good, one more. Breathe. And forward. Switch sides, the hand goes to the same side chest, the arm reaches out. I'm pulling that hand back as I reach the arm back. And forward. This is a nice little stretch here, right? Breathe. Sorry, Buddha. Keep hitting that picture behind me. Stretch. And bring it forward. Roll it out. Good. And then grab your block and place it between your legs. Place it the long way. And it's not directly on the knees, but above, just above the knees. And give it a good squeeze. Now, I don't say this that much, but certainly some of my students When they're here, they're going to hyperextend the back of their knees and overly tilt. Please don't do that. Keep a nice soft bend in the knees. So I'm going to turn sideways. You're going to see what we're doing next. So squeeze that block, particularly around the knee area, and hands to hips, just tap one toe back. I know, it's tricky. So already we're getting into balance. If you want to be near a wall, you can get to a wall. That hinge of the hips, press your fingers into that hinge so that you start to go into a tilt, a pelvic tilt. Your front knee, your standing knee can bend, and then maybe come down halfway and breathe. So I'm trying to press my behind back, right? At the same time, I'm not dropping the chest. That's where it gets tricky. And then stand up. Release. One, you're going to stay there. Okay, toe to the ground, just a little bit more activation. Choice number two, instead of bringing the toe back, you lift the leg. This is much more challenging. You might want to be near the wall. If you start to lose balance, just drop your toe. Squeeze your block. Hands come to your creases. Pull the creases back. Look kind of forward so that you don't drop the chest. And see if you can come halfway down and then stand up again. I know this is hard. This is hamstrings. Your standing knee bends a little bit. Press the hips back and forward. Come up. Whew. One more. Squeeze your block. Press. See if you can hold this. Breathe. And come up. Say hello to your hamstrings, right? That baby was the one working, the one that was on the floor, that foot, that's the one that was working. All right, other side, squeeze, just tap a toe back, because here's where we gain the muscle memory, right? Here's the crease of the hips, the chest stays high. I'm gonna start to press my hips back. I'm doing a little bit of an anterior tilt with the pelvis, but I'm not overdoing, I'm not getting into the low back. And then I'm going to see if I can level out the chest and come up. Good, just another couple of those. Press back. Squeeze your block. Try not to overly rely on the toe. Good, one more, press. Squeeze your block. And come up. Good. Just pause for a second. Play. Right. What can you do with a block between your legs? All right, let's go to the one that's a little bit more challenging, balance work. Squeeze the legs into your block. You can tap back, hands can come to your hips and lift the leg. Here's that crease of the hips. Reach the hips back, but keep the torso long. And come up, whoop. See, a little tricky, right? And press down and up. I'm on a floor scene here. I think that's my issue. I'll use that anyway. And come down and see if you can hold. Breathe. And come up. Woo! So I practice all this before I do it with you. Holy crap. I'm feeling it. Take the block back between your legs, parallel your feet. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Little bit of a chair pose. Breathe. One, you're here. Two, come on up on the ball mounds. Balance work again. Squeeze the block so the knees don't go anywhere. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the heels and come up to standing. So interesting in yoga, right? We do tons of hamstring stretching. We don't do a lot of hamstring strengthening. So a lot of what we're doing today is playing with that. Blocks go back to the front of your mat. And before we get there, I just want you to do one more thing, and that's just a little bit of a twist. Let the back heel pivot so that your knees don't lock up. Yep. Next time you're pivoted to one side, pause and just wrap your arms around you. So it's a nice, really nice twist. I like this one a lot. Release, pivot to the other side, wrap your arms around. And release, come back to center. So let's talk reverse triangle. A lot of people think, well, you should do triangle to do reverse triangle. It's not really the same as long as your hamstrings are awake and stretched out. My personal and yoga teacher opinion. So let's start with the blocks in the front. We're going to leave the left foot forward and we're going to step back with the right leg, just like pyramid pose. If you go too far back, it's really, really difficult. I don't know anybody that teaches it long. The front hip has to roll back. The front hip crease has to draw in. So imagine that you're going to lay your torso over a table. Like there's your table. And I'm just going to kind of lift and lower it over the table. Press the feet. Take both hands to your blocks, just like pyramid pose. First, find that. The front hip crease rolls back, right? The torso gets really long. I'm looking at the kind of front of my mat. And then I'm going to think, all right, so I have this pose. How do I get a twist in the pose? Because that's a reverse triangle. The sacrum is relatively neutral. It doesn't have to be perfectly neutral, especially if you have SI joint stuff. So you're going to take the left hand block and place it inside your left foot, okay? The right hand block is there for, oh wait, wrong side. Let me think about this for a minute. Okay, take your right hand block inside, sorry about that, inside your left foot. So it should be right alongside your big toe edge. Your hand goes on that block. And I'm going to invite you to try something. Take the block halfway, a half of a length forward. So your big toe is roughly in the middle line of the block. Your hand goes on that. By the way, you can go high with your block. Your left hand goes to your hip. And then imagine that you've got to pull the left shoulder up and back. At the same time, the right shoulder is going to go down and in. And then you're looking sideways at maybe the wall that's in front of you. Press strongly into that front foot, deep in the crease of your hip. Think about activating your hamstring, that front leg's hamstring. 1, you're here. 2, you're going to point your elbow to the ceiling. 3, you're going to take the arm straight up and expand through the wingspan. Breathe. Release that hand. Take it back to your block. You're back to pyramid pose. Bend your front knee. Just bend it. Keep the feet right where they are. Yep. So drag the heel back isometrically. Front heel back. Drag it back isometrically. So we just stretched the heck out of the hamstring. Now we're engaging the hamstring. And release completely. Step forward and come to standing. Whew. Shake it out. Now, what I just taught you is a variation of reverse triangle, because the other way to do it is to have the block outside the foot. I find that super challenging to balance. I don't tend to teach it that way, but if that's how you learned it and you want to go there, the block would be outside your foot instead of inside your foot. Okay, so here we go. Same thing, other side. Your right foot stays forward, your left foot steps back. And I'm thinking pyramid pose. Where's the ribs? They're forward. Where are the hip bones? They're forward. The front foot straight forward, the back foot just slightly angled. And then here's that hip crease again. I want to draw it in as I lengthen the torso out. And I'm going to put both hands on the blocks because I love my blocks, right? I love the aids that props give you so that you can play with nice alignment instead of worrying about your fingers touching the floor. Yeah, who needs it? All right, so here we are. You're going to take your left hand block to the inside of your right foot. Your left hand goes to the block. We think about this. I want to open the right side of my body. So I'm going to start to open the ribs here. Don't force this. And the other thing I mentioned earlier, sorry, take your left hand block slightly forward. If your left hip drops, in this case, on this side, while you're twisting, let it. Okay, we can talk about that later, but you don't have to keep the hip squared the whole time, especially if your body is telling you to let the hip drop some. Hand to shoulder, elbow points up. Reach the arm up if you would like. Make sure you're planting those feet, everybody. Breathe, reverse triangle pose. That's it. And release it. Oh, regular pyramid. Bend the front knee and then try to dig the heel back. Good. And then step forward. Bend both knees, hands come to knees, and lift up and shake it out. Yep. And then maybe you put a hand to a wall, just a fingertip or so, and bend your back leg and just hold that. So hamstring activation right there. Bend the knee, bring it up, straighten it out. Bend the knee, bring it back and hold. Now I'm not doing dancer, I'm not tilting forward. My low back is neutral. One more, bring the knee up, straighten it out. Bend, squeeze it back. So I want glute and hamstring working. And shake it out. All right, other side, maybe you have a fingertip to the wall. Come up really tall, hands to hips. Bend your knee and bend it so that you feel the hamstring, right? If you're not sure, reach back and go, oh yeah, that baby's engaged. Hamstrings are tricky. Bring the knee up, straighten it out, bring it in, just press it straight back. Bring it up and out and up. Squeeze it back. Glutes engaged. Good. One more. Bring it up. Press it out. Bring it in. Squeeze it back. Holy moly. And let it go. Good. Shake it out, everybody. And then super easy, super simple here. We're going to do a little more balance work, but the feet are on the floor. It's a transitional pose, but it kind of brings a little bit of what we were doing. So left foot forward, right foot back in warrior stance. Make sure your pose is wide enough, side to side. Otherwise, so front knee bend, sorry, warrior pose. Otherwise, when we transition, it's not going to be good. You'll be on a tightrope. So we're in warrior pose. You're gazing forward. The low belly is toned. The legs are active. Try to squeeze the legs back together. That gets that hamstring working again. Bring the back arm forward. Pivot on the foot. And then bring your left hand back into a twist. Yep. Bring the back hand forward. Pull the right hand back. Warrior two. Good. One more. Reach the back hand forward, pivot on your back foot. You're in a lunge. Take the left hand, pull it back. You're in a twist. Breathe. Reach it forward. pull it back, and then release. Right, so this just that simple move from here to here, back and forth, can be really tricky on your balance. And it's good because how many times you're going in one direction and all of a sudden you gotta like, oh, I forgot something, right? Transitions, moving from spot to spot. Let's go to the other side. Warrior two, right leg is forward, arms are out. Nice strong pose. Warrior should be becoming easier and easier and stronger. All right, make sure your pose is wide enough, otherwise you'll be on that tightrope. Take the back hand, reach it forward. Pivot the back foot. Pull the right arm back into a twist. Reach it forward. Pivot to warrior two. Reach the arm forward. Pull the right hand back. Pull it forward. Warrior two. And release it. Heel toe in, everybody, and just bend the knees and shake it out. And then come on up to the front of your mat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Soften the knees, step back with your right leg. Have your blocks where you can reach them on either side of your foot. Drop your back foot to the side position. Inhale up, warrior two. Reach the back arm forward. Pivot, pull the back arm back. Reach the torso forward, hand to block, your right hand to your block. Straighten your front leg, you are back in reverse triangle. Little variation, but triangle. Bend your front knee. Reach the arms up. Pivot the back leg. And release. See how I snuck that in there? Switch sides. This is the last of it. You're good to go. I know it got warm, didn't it? All right, so front foot forward. How did I do that? How did I start? Warrior two, I think. Your blocks are at the front of your mat. Now you know what we're doing. I can't sneak it in anymore. You can have your left block closer to your right foot. Warrior two. Good, breathe. You're gonna reach your front hand forward or back hand forward. Pivot into a lunge, lift up. Woo. And breathe. Hinge from the hips. Your left hand comes down, your front leg straightens, and the right arm goes up. Difference between this and the pyramid version is the front heel or the back heel may be lifted. Breathe. And release. Holy moly. Set your blocks aside. Down dog. Oh, we deserve this down dog. Breathe. Low belly tones in, tailbone lengthens. The upper back supporting this pose. Lower the knees to the floor and come to child's pose. Just shake it out, everybody. Good. Come on up and come to a seat. Now, I didn't cue this ahead of time. I think we're just going to play a little bit here. If you are on a bare floor, no carpet, and you have a blanket or a towel, go ahead and grab it. And if you don't worry about it. If you're on carpet, I think you can maybe do this. I'm not sure, but if you can't, then we'll come to a variation. So Your heels go on your blanket in front of you. You're going to lean back and you're going to dig in. If you can slide your feet on whatever surface you have, blanket or carpet, go ahead and straighten the legs. Don't let the knees hyperextend, and then dig in to pull them back. Good. Straighten and dig. If you're on carpet, you're just lightening up the heels and you're sliding the legs back. When you squeeze, that's the hamstrings. When you straighten, that's the quads, okay? So squeeze. So the emphasis is on the squeeze. Good. Squeeze in and out. Want to try one other thing. One, you're going to stay where you are. That's enough work. The other option is to bring the heels in and lift your butt off the floor. This is harder. Straighten, squeeze. Straighten, squeeze. Good. One more. Straighten, squeeze, and let go. Good. And release that blanket. I know, if you just like said, I'm just watching that one, I'm not even doing it, that's okay. I understand. Come on down to your backs, everyone. I know you think we should be done with hamstrings. We are almost. So the other pose that really benefits from engaging the hamstrings is bridge pose. We did a lot of bridge pose in Sunday's class. We're not going to do quite so many this time. But here's what I want you to feel. With your back neutral, which means there is a small space behind your low back. You're not flattening and tucking. Got a little tilt to the pelvis. Your feet are on the floor. Just pull the heels back and feel the hamstrings, and you'll probably feel them more because we've been working with them. So as you pull back, the hamstring muscles activate. And then push the feet away isometrically, and then pull the heels back toward your glutes again. Pull, 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 and push it away, and then pull one more time. So now pull, hold here. See if you can lift the hips off the floor any amount. And breathe. And then lower down. Good. Shake out one leg, shake out the other leg. Feet back to the floor. Come into your normal bridge, whatever that is for you, however high the hips are for you. Press the four corners of your feet into the mat. You can hold on to the sides of the mat, or you can press the upper arms into the mat to lift the chest. Pull the heels back. Pull the heels back toward your hips. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Lift your heels off the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the heels. Pull the heels back. We're only doing 2 of these. Pull them back hard. Relatively hard. Don't overdo it. Breathe. Release. Lift the heels. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and set those hips back to the floor. Hallelujah. Bring both knees to your chest, everybody. Right foot goes to the floor, your left ankle goes to the right knee. Come into figure 4. Good. So in figure 4, your left inner knee moves away from your chest. The right knee moves toward your chest. And breathe. And then take the left knee, the one that is, the leg that's bent on the right knee. Take your left knee and draw it toward your chest. So you're actually going to pull it in toward your chest. You're going to feel a different stretch. And then push the knee away and draw it in toward chest. Release that, crisscross the knees, and bring both knees to your chest. Release that, everybody. Just straighten the legs for a minute. Woo. Bend the knees. Let's go to the other side. Your right ankle goes to the left knee. Both knees head toward chest. The right inner knee moves away from chest a little bit. Take a deep breath. Your sacrum should feel really steady on the floor. It should feel really even on the floor. There's a teeny tiny space behind your low back. Breathe. And then the right knee, you're going to pull it in toward chest as if you could bring the leg across, but you're not actually. And for me, it's a nice, deep, interesting stretch that does not hurt. Goes through the glutes. It works with the external hip rotators, piriformis. Good. Move the knee away and then bring it in toward the chest again. And release it. Cross the knees all the way and bring both knees to your chest. Release the knees and take both legs up. Take both legs wide, supported. So I'm gonna, just so I have room here, the hands go outside either thigh to support the pose. So you're not just kind of hanging in space. You've got something, little stoppers on either side of the thigh. Press into the sacrum and create a tiny space in your lower back. So here, it's real easy to go flat back here. Go a little bit of a tilt if you can. And then bring the legs together, bend your knees, feet to the floor, come onto your back. We're almost finished, everybody. I'm sorry, come onto your belly. And let your upper body completely relax. The legs are relaxed for a moment. Just shake it out. So as we work the hamstrings, right? We've worked the hamstrings and the quadriceps and the hip flexors. A lot of lower body work today. I want you to just consider this. See if this makes sense for you. You're going to bend your left leg and breathe. And then you're going to see if you can lift that leg off the floor. Lift the knee off the floor. And then you're going to see if you can take that whole left side, lift it, and tap down. Whoops, blocks in the way. Tap your big toe behind your right leg. So your right leg straightened on the floor. You're just tapping the big left toe down behind it. And then lift it up and come back down to your knee and both hips. The leg is still bent. One more time, you're going to lift the knee, engage the glute, lift big and wide and stretch, just tap behind you. And then lift, keep the knee bent and take the thigh back to the floor. Release and just lift that leg off the floor. So hip bone stays down, you're just lifting a single leg. Lower it down, shake it out. Same thing other side. First, bend the right knee. And then lift the right knee. And then imagine you're going to take that right foot and you're going to make a big step over the left leg. The whole right hip comes off the floor. You roll onto the left side. Your big toes tapped, your glutes active. And then you're going to take that big step back over, keep the knee bent, and bring the thigh back to the floor. Good. One more. Lift the knee off the floor. Stretch it big and wide. Just take it over like you're doing a little hurdle. Tap the big toe. And then lift, come back down to the thigh. Straighten the right leg, but then lift the leg off the floor. And lower down. Whew, shake it out, everybody. Both hands down along your sides, palms face up. Move the shoulders off the floor. Lift the legs if you would like. Try taking the legs a little wider. So a variation of locust. Breathe. Don't overlift the head. Find your breath. Squeeze, squeeze. And lower. Ooh-wee. All right. So just roll to one side and then roll on to your back. That was a heck of a class. Breathe. Bring your knees to your chest, everyone. And just with the knees in chest, take a deep breath and let it go. Good, deep breath. And let it go. One more deep breath. Exhale it out. Right knee stays in, left leg gets super long. Stretch it out. The hands go behind your right knee. The right leg goes straight up to the ceiling. Pose we started with this morning, one of them. Bend both knees to chest. Leave the left one in. Straighten the right leg super long. Hands behind the left leg. Take the left leg up. While you're here, just shift your right leg more to the corner of your mat. Tone your little belly and lower the left leg to the other corner of your mat. And let's find Shavasana, everyone. Hands come down to your sides. The shoulders drop to the floor, the belly soft. And we find our breath. We find our strengths in yoga class, and it is not just the physical strength, right? It is the mental strength, the emotional strength, and those are the gifts that we carry out into the world. We realize that we can do more than we give ourselves credit for. And we believe in ourselves. Soften it. Breathe. Soften down. One more deep let go, everyone.
For those of you who are ready, start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Find your breath. Bring your knees to your chest. Curl them in. Maybe do some knee circles. Rock side to side. And then let the knees come to one side or the other. Curl over to fetal pose and then press all the way up. Coming into your seated pose and just feeling how you feel after class. Bring your hands to your heart, bow to your own inner strengths, your bravery, your willingness to believe in yourself. Carry that out into the world. Namaste.
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 Thank you, everybody.